Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara. You have landed on Astrocast. This is your weekly forecast for June 18th through the 25th. So we're over halfway through the year, and I would love to know how you're doing. I feel like compared to years in the past, I don't know, we've had fairly cooperative astrology, fairly cooperative. Of course, it depends on where it sits in your chart. I guess for me, it's been fairly cooperative. And this week is no exception. This week, we are coming off of a new moon. It's a new moon in Gemini, and we're still sitting in that energy as I record this. Not sure when you're listening to it. Um, but, new moons are all about starting something new. It's just the way it is. And we have 13 lunar cycles or 13 new moons in a calendar year. So we have 13 times throughout the year to make a shift. And I love that because Lord knows that none of us can get it right every single time. I mean, if you can get it right every single time, then I need to learn from you. But what I found in life is that sometimes it takes us a few times. So having these 13 lunar cycles is really supportive. And every time the moon lands in a certain zodiac sign, that new moon is going to be infused with the energy that it's sitting in. Now, the energy lasts for a few days after, a few days before. It's not like it's a hard stop when we're talking about a new moon. There's no hard stop anywhere in astrology because it's all energy. So as we move into this new week, we still are sitting on the tail end of that new moon, and we're heading into the week, right? So as we head into the week, well, first of all, Saturn went retrograde on the same day as the new moon. And before you think to yourself, oh my God, Saturn retrograde, this is terrible. It's actually not terrible. In fact, nothing is really terrible. It's all a matter of perspective. And that is part of the theme. When Saturn goes into retrograde, it's asking us to revisit certain lessons that we've been toying around with over the last, say, 9 months, for example. And as Saturn goes into retrograde, it's going to be in retrograde all the way through, I believe, like November of this year. So we've got some time. I think it's a beautiful situation, actually, because this new moon was all about sustenance and nourishment and really asking ourselves, how can I create a sense of nourishment in my life for myself? What boundaries do I need to create for myself that I can now actually have the time to do what nourishes me and is fulfilling to me? Right? I talked about this before. So many of us say, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. Or, oh, you're so lucky you have all that time. No, it's not luck, guys. It's making a commitment to saying, this is what nourishes me. This is what I'm going to do. Right. So that's what really this whole new moon energy is about. So when Saturn goes into retrograde, when you set those intentions, Saturn's going to go, I hear you. And Saturn's going to say, are you sure? Because now I'm going to test you to see if you're really holding that truth for yourself. So set those intentions, whatever they are, around sustenance and nourishment and taking care of yourself. And then know that as we move throughout the week, we have Jupiter sextile Saturn, which is absolutely gorgeous. Jupiter is about expansion and abundance and wisdom and education, and it expands everything that we touch. And so as Jupiter sextile Saturn, that's a really harmonious transit, you're going to feel a sense of expansion potentially in your career, because Saturn rules your career, in your maybe your creativity and your ability to stay focused, your entrepreneurship, your travel, Jupiter's travel, wisdom. You're going to feel, hopefully, an expanded or enhanced sense of self-awareness. And I don't know, I feel like it's important, and it's our responsibility. Honestly, it's our responsibility to be as self-aware as we can, because everything that we experience in our life is based upon our self-awareness. I think it was Timothy Chalamet who such a wise little soul, says, be the master of your life and understand that life isn't happening to you. It's actually coming from you. Life isn't happening to you. It's coming from you. So I think I listened to that like 15 times and I am reminded of that over and over again, that however we're experiencing this life inside this body, that's what's showing up in our peripheral and maybe closer to our peripheral. So that's why that idea of self-nourishment is really important. Now, the theme this week is adventure. And when I say adventure, of course, the first thing we think about is like buying a plane ticket and going somewhere, right? Or getting in the car and going somewhere. But maybe just adventure is expanding your awareness. Maybe it's stepping outside your hula hoop that you have so eloquently danced within your whole life, and maybe trying something new. Letting go of your fear or resistance and experiencing an unlimited potential or something that you thought was impossible, right? And it's not. You all of a sudden are like, oh my gosh, look at me, I did this, right? How many times have you done that in your life? Like maybe jumping into this next week, make a list of all the things that you've done in your life that you were really afraid of. And then you did it. And now you're like, oh my God, look at me, I'm doing this, right? This is that energy. And I love it because Saturn goes into retrograde, and then we have Jupiter sextile Saturn, and then we have the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, which means that, it's the longest day of the year. It's when things are in balance. We have the sun and the moon in balance. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then Mercury will sextile Mars toward the end of the year, which is really, asking you to implement those plans. Mercury is the lower mind. It's your day to day. It's like, okay, what am I doing with my day? And Mars is like, let's go, guys. So, you're going to have hopefully a little bit of an ignited energy, a little bit of ignited spirit, a little get up and go, a little mojo, if you will. And, hopefully you're taking on those things that you wrote down with your little new moon wishes. And if you didn't, that's fine, but this is the week to do it. So give yourself a little bit of a break and do something that is powerful for you and go on some sort of little adventure, even if it's in your mind. So if you want to know more about your astro information, just go to myastrocast.com. If you put in your little email, you'll start getting emails from me that will tell you how to, actually find your chart. What do I mean when I say a chart? It'll give you a video on the houses and the planets and all of this really basic generic stuff. And then after you get that, I would say, if you've never had your chart read, I would say, let's read your chart, because it's fun to understand kind of what's going on in your life. It's nice to see your little blueprint and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or, oh no, I didn't get that, right? I didn't get that memo. Anyways, have a beautiful week, and yeah, take good care. Namaste.